We're living it up, palm trees with sea breeze. We're living it up, no clouds with blue seas. We're on a jet ski, living this life, tropical island paradise. We're living it up, palm trees with sea breeze.
Nothing I say is financial advice and shouldn't be constituted as financial advice. I'm a grown-ass man in a Spider-Man mask who gives you fire crypto information. Again, none of this is financial advice. Make your own decisions. What is up, everybody? I am Mr. Man, and I came to bring the heat tonight. You guys are going to love this show. This is about, I don't know, I can't even say how long it's going to be. It's going to be a longer one than usual, though. Do note that. However, the learning in here is going to be just like nothing you've had before. It's not like making connections to partnerships or any of that. What I'm going to do is show you guys the standards, the policies. I'm going to show you how Interledger fits in, the fact that Hyperledger is now involved with this, and you can see them talking about the W3C. There's so much to talk about in terms of what's going on and where we are and how we got here. And a lot of the people, they call it juju or woo-woo. Anyways, here, I do follow astrology. I'm not an astrologer. I'm not anything along those lines. Do I understand everything that happens? Not a clue. When people are talking about Jupiter's crossing and whatever the words are, I have no idea about that stuff. I love hearing about it. I like the fact that someone could explain to me and make it make sense to me, because it's not one of my expertise. But I use it and I follow it. This here, all right, millionaires don't need astrologers, billionaires do. Let me show you guys quickly just why billionaires do. Millionaires use charts, billionaires use the stars. Millionaires don't need astrologers, billionaires do. J.P. Morgan said that. The original J.P. Morgan, not his bank, J.P. Morgan. You know those Apple product launch events that always seem to be so randomly timed? Those dates are chosen by astrologers. There's a reason for these things, right? Mansa Musa of Mali is the richest human being in history with a personal net worth of 400 billion. Guess what he used? Astrology. All right? Now that we have that established, now that you know that I do follow that stuff, let's jump into this. So, today I posted on my Twitter. I think I like saying that, huh? So, I posted this on my Twitter. Bitcoin proponents argue that the XRP currency, cryptocurrency, has not gained traction among business to justify its current valuation. Whatever. XRP's role in Ripple's ecosystem is becoming increasingly important in determining the company's overall value. Based on this principle, XRP serves as an internet protocol. Now they're giving out more. It serves as an internet protocol, equivalent to TCP/IP. It is possible to use XRP to convert thinly traded currencies on international markets. As a result, banks can source liquidity on demand in real time with XRP rather than having to pre-fund Nostros. And you hear them talking about the protocol. XRP is a protocol. I want to use it as a protocol. So this here is a conference. It had Christine Lagarde from when she was in the IMF. It has a few other people who I don't know their names. Another gentleman here from the BCBS, the Basel Accord group, working entity there. The Basel Committee, and what he has to say. I'll let him tell you what he has to say. Okay, let me just. Okay, so this is who the gentleman is. I won't tell you his name. I'll let him tell you his name.
Stefan Ingves, governor of the Swedish bank, central bank.
I'm gonna put this all together for you guys.
So always connected to, in one way or the other, to a social framework. And that is particularly the case when we're talking about money, because money is essentially about what people have in their heads, because money is a social convention, which is not really dealing with technology at all. So the issue is how to combine technologies using the plural with what people have in their heads. And that's what it is all about when it comes to the central banking aspect of it and how to do this. And these very fundamental basic issues, they're a couple of thousand years old. So in that sense, we can be all worked up about new technologies today, but essentially when you talk about money, there's nothing new under the sun.
In what areas do central banks see the most urgent needs for monitoring and/or potential actions?
Well, when it comes to what we do is that part of our job, and this holds for almost all central banks in all countries, is that the basic role has not changed. Our job is to make sure that there is a stable monetary and financial system. And what we mean when we talk about stability can change over time depending on the technology that you are using. But still that fundamental role does not go away. So for us, it's really about how to understand what is happening. Part of it is about what one could call regulatory gaps. What do the regulatory frameworks look like given these new technologies? The other one, which is very, very obvious, is that there is a crowding out of physical cash. So eventually, at the end of the day, if this happens without any measures at all on the side of the central banks, basically it becomes impossible for the general public to hold a direct claim on the central banks. You can only hold a claim on privately owned banks. And that means that, again, the whole issue of safety soundness always comes back in one way or the other. You can do that in a very active role or in a less active role. And when it comes to the operational aspects of this, it's, for example, thinking hard about whether to or not to introduce a central bank digital currency.
Come back to that.
To think about payment systems. Because what most people don't realize when we are talking about payments is that each and every payment eventually passes the computers of the central bank in one form or the other. Or you can also think about it being a kind of a facilitator like the Bank of England, the Monetary Authority of Singapore, basically allowing new technological experiments sort of to take place and to see whether you can make them work well within the regulatory framework.
So your role didn't change a lot in the last 1,000 years, but may the central banks themselves be disrupted in some of their mission with all the new players we see around? At least many say they could, but what is your point of view?
Yeah, well, in the sense that in the sense that it forces you to think outside your traditional toolbox. Because most people and most central bankers take the structure of the financial sector for granted. And that holds particularly if you deal with macroeconomics and when you talk about monetary policy. Most people dealing with monetary policy have no idea what the plumbing actually looks like under the hood. And this is about the plumbing. And there's a difference between monetary policy and monetary theory. And this is about monetary theory and how you actually design the system. And that puts all sorts of new requirements on us who are working in the central banking community because it forces us to think hard about the plumbing, what happens when the plumbing changes, and whether those changes are good for society or not, because that's our role to think about those things.
Thank you very much, Stefan. So, Carl.
Okay, so they're talking about financial theory in the hymn. They are talking about financial theory. There we go. Just gonna get my thoughts together. So let's move on. And they're talking about the plumbing of the ecosystem, of the infrastructure, okay? So that brings us on to, so now we're talking about the plumbing. And we know what some of the plumbing can be. So let me put the pieces together of this puzzle for you guys here. So let's learn about the blockchain, okay? Check this out.
Because the blockchain is a secure system that enables a trusted network, it's often described as a value exchange protocol.
I gotta pause it right here. I have to show you just so you can make the connection, right? Like I don't want you to get anybody to get lost. You just saw there, right? So here we're talking about TCP/IP. We're talking about TCP/IP. TC, what is, let's just do this live. Just so you have an idea, okay? Let's just go over this quickly. Very quickly. What is TCP? Standards for Transmission Control Protocol. It's an internet protocol and is a suite of communication protocols used to interconnect network devices on the internet. Network devices. TCP/IP is also used as a communication protocol in a private computer network. TCP/IP, okay? So we know what the protocol is. We know what this is. XRP is now being compared to that. So back here, I want to make sure you guys caught it. All right, I want to make sure. So here they're talking about the Internet of Value, and you can see on here they're talking about the internet protocols: HTTP, TCP/IP, SSL, and FTP. All right. Now that we're with each other again, I just want to make sure nobody gets left behind. Sorry for all you guys who are ahead already, but this is a learning channel. I'm a researcher and I want everyone to know what's going on. So here we go. Let's jump back into this.
Enables a trusted network. It's often described as a value exchange protocol. In this respect, people often say that what the web did for the exchange of information, the blockchain will do for the exchange of value. Just as the web revolutionized the use and exchange of information within society, disrupting whole industries based upon the centralization of information, so too the blockchain is set to do the same for the recording and exchanging of all forms of quantifiable value. This idea of value lies at the heart of the blockchain. If there is no value involved in the process, then there is no need for trust and no need to use the blockchain. The vision of the Internet of Value is for any quantum of value to be exchanged as quickly and as fluidly as multimedia is today on the web. Although multimedia can move around the world almost instantaneously, a single payment from one country to another is slow, expensive, and unreliable, often taking days and involving numerous intermediary third parties to validate and process transactions at a significant cost. Thus, it is no accident that the first widespread use of the blockchain was for currencies, because it is the most immediate and obvious source of quantified value within society. However, to truly understand the revolutionary potential of this technology is to appreciate how value and its exchange influences and regulates almost all aspects of human affairs. As a consequence, the control of how value gets defined, measured and exchanged is a key source of power and control within society and has been since the origins of civilization. The rise of digital currencies are but one such example of this. The surprising thing for a lot of people is that most major currencies like the dollar, yen and euro aren't backed by anything. They're just pieces of metal, paper and entries in a bank account that get their value from everyone simply believing that they have value and accepting them as a medium of exchange. And that's all that's really necessary. Currencies and money work a little bit like languages. They are subject to network effects to give them value. The more people who agree to and understand a language, the more valuable that specific language has as a form of communications. Dollars, renminbi, euros, and bitcoins have no intrinsic value. They're all social protocols, and they merely represent a way of supporting the value flows between individuals.
They have no intrinsic value. That's funny. That's hilarious. Okay. Moving on. Where am I? Right here. Okay. So, we're talking about the Internet of Value and how money will now become, or move now, through the protocols. And we have established now that XRP is a protocol. So for that protocol to exist, it must flow through something that connects as many banks or SMEs, SMEs, small size banks, companies, whatever you want to call them, something that connects them all. So let's hear what this gentleman has to say. This gentleman's from Ripple, and his name is Wellington Scully, also known as Welly. Look him up. He's on Twitter, actually, or X, whatever you want to call it. I still call it Twitter. Whatever. He's still on there, or he's on there. Let's listen to what he has to say.
really becoming like a new bank account. And I think there's an opportunity, not necessarily for blockchain to replace that, but to really accelerate that process, to help these new kind of account systems speak to each other in a way that's more efficient than today's bank accounts can, we hope.
Hopefully. So, this all sounds like, an amazing place that we would be, but what are, I know, right? Just for businesses. But what are the hurdles to get to this Internet of Value stage?
Yeah, I would say that the one that comes up a lot is regulation. And I don't think it's so much this is an illicit technology and regulators are trying to find the right way to kind of battle it and defend against it. It's really just an education process. The reality is that regulators typically look at how market evolves and they design the rules to make sure that it continues to scale up very efficiently. So they're generally not sitting in, they're not getting in front of the wave and making sure everyone's there for everybody else. You really have to work with them to evolve it, but it takes a lot of time. I think another aspect is just infrastructure. So making sure that to move to a world where you can move value in real time, exchange value in real time, a lot of processes just need to change. A lot of banks, a lot of financial institutions just aren't equipped to do things in real time. It just takes a lot of money and a lot of effort to do that. I think the example that I love to kind of refer to when I'm at work, kind of just pounding my head against the wall because things move really slowly when you work with big financial institutions, I like to think about the evolution of Netflix. So you think about how Netflix started, I'm sure Reed Hastings had this vision of being able to broadcast any sort of content to anywhere in the world, any device at a reasonable cost, just like I think many people are familiar with today. But he didn't start out that way. He didn't say, hey, I'm going to start this service once I can do all these things. He started out with sending DVDs in the mail. So it was this really basic kind of incremental step toward this very mature, sophisticated vision that really helped to let a business flourish and evolve as the industry evolves. So I think a lot of people just need to set expectations that it's going to take a long time for this to happen.
So then, does that mean we need to take kind of a if we build it, they will come kind of approach and just go ahead and start the infrastructure, or are we just going to take another 20 years to actually incorporate blockchain into our system?
That's a great question. I think that what's so important is that it's critical just to find out what are problems that people really care about that can be solved right now, and it may not be, again, the kind of the Netflix example. Everybody wants the real-time streaming of all content, to every device. But if you can't have that to start, find the people for whom the DVDs in the mail are really going to work. I think that's really key. It's what is an incremental benefit that you can bring to the market that will help grow the market.
Okay. So you are very outspoken in talking about how Ripple is built on an open source technology, and you are proud of this fact. Do you see this playing a bigger role in building an Internet of Value? And also, will this open source technology enable more companies to launch kind of in the same way that we saw with the cloud?
Yeah, I love that question. So yes, so we try to be very clear that we are a private software company, and the solutions that we developed incorporate the capabilities of these open source softwares. Specifically, there are two technologies that we really focus on. One is called Interledger Protocol, and the second one is called XRP Ledger. Basically, the former is kind of like the blockchain technology. The latter is more of like a digital asset, like a crypto asset. And from our perspective, it's not possible for us to succeed to the extent that we can, which would be this kind of ubiquitous Internet of Value, as a private company, if the software that we're using is strictly proprietary. You really need something like the equivalent of Internet Protocol, which means that when we go to these financial institutions and we're selling our software to them, the fundamental software that's powering it and the fundamental capabilities that are really unique, that make our software unique, that is open source, which means that if a big swath of the market decides to use Ripple software, but another swath of the market decides to use software from a bunch of different providers, that's okay because it's interoperable. It'd be like the idea of if Google was using one internet protocol and Facebook was using another internet protocol, so you as a consumer would need to sign up for two internets, that's a big pain. That's something that you want to avoid. So it's this idea of like, not just network effects, but a network of network effects, that Ripple's success should lead to the success of other companies that want to kind of contribute to the development of this ecosystem.
Because they'll want to build on it and use it and have to use it, because if that's now the protocol for connecting value, they will have to use it. Right? Not my words. Well, those are my words, but still. So now we've heard the protocol again. We've seen it here. We've seen it, heard this gentleman here talking about the plumbing is going to be getting overhauled. We've learned what the value and Internet of Value is and how that works, and we've heard the protocols again, but this time he brought in Interledger. So it's Interledger and the XRPL. Ripple's a software company. So let's do it. Let's learn what Interledger is.
In our modern world, technology moves at light speed. But why has our financial infrastructure failed to keep up with the pace of change? The Interledger protocol was created to make sending money across the internet easy. We envisioned a payments network that acts as a bridge between anyone and the entire world. Today, when we send an email, we take it for granted that once we hit send, the email will appear in the recipient's inbox almost instantly. It doesn't matter if you're sending from one email provider to another. It works seamlessly in a matter of seconds, not days. The Interledger protocol is designed so you can send money as easily as you can send an email. It's a network that reflects our interconnected world, accessible to all, regardless of identity, geography, or income. One that's more inclusive, without minimum transaction amounts or costly transfer fees. The closed networks of the past keep people disconnected. Our mission is to bring our financial infrastructure into the 21st century and give everyone equal access to a global financial network. Email your digital bank.
So now that you know what Interledger is, I have an idea of what it is. We've heard from Wellington or Welly Scully that it is the blockchain, if you will, that can connect, is like the protocol essentially. We've seen the preview of what the sneak preview, the commercial of what Interledger protocol is, and now we'll hear Evan Schwartz here, this fine gentleman right here, used to be with Ripple, now has left and moved on to somewhere else. But let's hear what this gentleman has to say. He's one of the original creators, and yeah, Evan Schwartz.
Everyone to be on one network. It's use case agnostic. That's also really important when you're thinking about how to design this kind of system. The internet doesn't care what type of data you're sending, it's all just packets. And then the last one, as I mentioned, it's all just packets. So that was a really key part of the internet, and that was kind of the last, one of the later big things that we learned from the internet was the importance of packetizing transactions. So the internet, when you send a big file over the internet, it splits it up into many little chunks and sends it over as that. And that makes it, the core of the network, much, much more efficient because it's all just homogeneous, homogeneous packets. So with Interledger, again, open standard, connects different types of networks. It's use case agnostic, and it's about doing packetized money. So some people have heard me say this before, but I'll throw it out to the audience. What is Interledger's total addressable market size? All the money. Nobody wanted to feed it. Yeah, it's all the money, because what we're really talking about with this idea of the Internet of Value is creating a single global payment network that connects literally everyone and processes maybe not 100%, but 90+% of all the money. Yes. And number 3 is use cases. So I just want to give like a very brief shout out to some of the demand drivers in the room. If your name is not up there, I'm very sorry, but come and poke me afterwards and I'll apologize. That's what we're talking about. So with that, if you had a system like that, or when we have a system like that, I should say.
Did you catch that? Not if, but when. I showed you the video the other day of that central banker talking about we're beyond if. We're now at when.
Thank you, Sir Anthony. For sure, I mean, CBDC is a structural story. It's not a cyclical story. This is an evolution that, in our opinion, is inevitable. It will happen. As you said before, it's just a question of when and how, not if. In fact, I'm still surprised to see so many central bankers around the world being even skeptical about the need for CBDCs.
And you heard Evan Schwartzer saying, if we have a system like this, and then he corrected himself and said, when we have. He knew back in 2019 that this was going to be a thing. They knew this was going to happen. They are well aware when this is, yeah. All right. So moving on up to the east side. Okay. Last day we spoke about Etsy. And we were looking at this document actually here. Permission distributed ledger, PDL. Jeez. Okay. So here in our abbreviations, we're talking about Interledger. Etsy is a European organization. Why interoperability between PLDs? Combining two or more DLTs using interledger mechanisms allow a different trade-off in terms of trust and cost, allows different levels of privacy. It can increase the overall scalability and functionality. A higher or wider scale trust requires a larger network with more nodes and or more demanding consensus model. This is the case of public ledgers, which results in a higher computation cost, hence monetary transaction cost, and higher transaction delay. Where am I? Delay. Okay, compared to permission DLTs. You ever wonder where Ripple gets all that money from? How they can fight the SEC and do all this? I mean, they were a startup in 2012. Haven't really done much really in terms of making a buttload of money. But yet they can pay all this. Like, how do you think? You ever thought about that? Meanwhile, they have individuals such as Rosie Rios on their board. Michael Barr used to be on their board, now at the Fed. You have like a bunch of people that have swapped positions and still are big names. Big names, big ranks in high places, right? Think about it. They all move together and flock together and hang out and, shoot the shit with each other, you know what I'm saying? Hang out on the weekend, having a barbecue. I'll see little Sarah on Saturday. Yeah, no problem, I'll see you. Tell little Johnny I said what's up. They all know each other. That's why the WEP was writing about them from the beginning. That's why Brad Garlinghouse hangs out with with Christine Lagarde. That's why you saw him with Christine Lagarde. You saw him with McHenry, pictures with him and McHenry as well. And again, Michael Barr's in the house there too. You've seen and heard him talking about this. I'm sorry this might get my page blown up, but it is what it is. I gotta get the truth out there. You guys need to know this. You need to know that they're connected. They're not just some small company that came out of nowhere. Like, come on. Transactions require a higher level of trust, can be recorded on a public blockchain, whereas transactions which occur frequently, but for which a lower level trust is sufficient, can be recorded on a permissioned DLT. Does that make sense? It did to me after. Okay. Utilizing permissioned DLTs can support higher privacy. Since all transactions on a blockchain, public blockchain are public, hence data can be stored in a deeper privacy, whereas hashes of the data stored on the permission DLT can be periodically stored on public blockchains to ensure immutability of the data. Finally, multiple permission DLTs can be combined with a public blockchain to exploit transaction locality, hence achieve scalability. So they're just building on top of a public blockchain at that point, so they can scale up because they're utilizing the open permissioned ability that the public blockchain offers, which also allowing the permission DLTs to support different consensus models and programming. Same PDF. Introduction. I can't read today, guys. My apologies. So introduction. Enabling communication between different DLTs is a challenge that can be resolved in favor of scalability if interoperability is implemented with security. However, The architecture, taxonomy, and ontology of the DLT landscape is certainly very diverse, and with a variety of technical issues and challenges that a lot of time and efforts are becoming invested in deploying approaches and solutions. This is in favor of the ecosystem as a whole. Priorities for multi-stakeholders are based on interoperability and cross-chain solutions, which we had just heard, for connecting the new era of internet. You heard that? New era. I'm going to repeat that. The new era of internet. This is in the UK. This is Etsy, okay? This is Etsy in the UK. Let me just, okay. The base, I'm going to show you and come back. Sorry, I got to show you and come back. All right, we're still on Etsy here. All right, Etsy's in the UK. So the baseline for the present document is aligned with the definition of ISO IEC 17788-2014. This is what it is here, the international standard. Information technology, cloud computing. That's what it is. What do we have here? Identical recommendations, paired recommendations, okay. Terms. Terms are defined elsewhere. We have key characteristics, cloud computing roles and activity, cloud capabilities, types, and cloud categories, cloud deployment models, cloud computing, cross-cutting aspects, and cloud service categories. I'm just following the money here. I mean the standards. I didn't say that. I'm following the standards. That's what we're doing here, guys. We're following the standards, not the money. We don't follow money. Yeah, we do. So, this recommendation, it's an international standard, provides an overview of cloud computing along with a set of terms and definition. It is terminology foundation for cloud computing standards. So we have that for cloud computing standards already via the Intel Ledger. Okay, let me just make sure I'm not getting my information crossed here. Want to make sure I give credible information here. So, the recommendation, international standards is applicable to all types of organizations, for example, commercial, enterprise, government agencies, not-for-profit agencies. The normative references. Let's keep going down here. Definitions, not here as you can see that. Terms defined elsewhere, availability, confidentiality. There's not much here, like it's legit just a framework. Service level agreements. Document agreements between the service provider and customer that identify services and service targets. Like it's legit just the framework here. Cloud capabilities, look. And everything else is outsourced somewhere else. Okay. Platform capabilities, private cloud, public cloud, source pooling, reversibility, software as a service. And then we get down to here. Alright, the abbreviations for the purpose of this recommendation of ISO. And I wanted to show you guys these. Just continuing on with the ISO. Here we are, ISO 20022, the Registration Management Group member list. I had shown you guys this before if you followed my channel in the past. If not, have a look at the previous videos. You will enjoy the content and get you up to speed at where we are now. That's if you're a new individual and haven't followed along to know what we're talking about. So, the RMG has 43 delegations from the following member entities. Look at that, the Bank of England, BIS, Canada, CFTC, okay, Italy, India, DIN, DTCC, ECB, European Payment Council, Euroclear, who had just done their first movement of a government bond. Alright, ISDA, MasterCard, Mojoloop, Natcha, RippleNet. You see who's on there? Move, would you? Well, I guess you can't see who's on there now. There we go. I'm not even going to highlight it. But you see who's on there? Ripple is a management individual on this particular ISO. ISO 20022, which is about interoperability. Let's continue moving on here. This here is page 14. This is also another Etsy document here. Alright, the white paper. This is from last year, January. Oh, it's old, Mr. Man, it's old. I don't care what you think. Everything is connected. To understand where you're going, you gotta know where you came from. So don't talk about the dates. It's old, it's old. Only new stuff matters. If you say that, I don't know why you're hanging out on my channel here. Honestly, that's a load of bull crap. Load of bull crap. Everything leads up to where we're going, and if you don't want to hear where we're going, this isn't the channel for you, because I want to show you where we're going based on where we've been. So this is about Interledger here. Okay. Interledger interoperability is the means to access the records of one PDL, permission distributed ledger, from another PDL. Interoperability is helpful in several ways, which is solving the scalability problems of PDLs in the future. Interledger is solving that problem, that scalability problem. Adoption of PDL, where there will be several PDLs running by organizations around the world. However, this comes with several challenges in terms of, for example, security and ledger compatibility based on harmonized definitions, right? Same risk, same everything. For harmonized definitions for interoperability, which is this ISO we were just looking at. So I didn't lead you wrong. Whew. The interledger interoperability for exchanging information between different PDLs can be conducted in two dimensions. Indirectional interoperability. Jesus. Lord, take me now. Take me now. Okay. Unidirectional interoperability. In unidirectional interoperability, one PDL can access the record from the other PDL, but otherwise is not possible. This is essentially useful in data sharing applications where data access is given to the other organization only for specific purposes. So for instance, I am moving. So I spent my life in one place. I lived in Toronto for a lot of my life growing up, and I had my family doctor down there. And now I live in Sioux Lookout, and I'm now looking at family doctors up here. So to get my files up here, that doctor's going to fax everything or scan everything and email it all up there. Now because their systems are different, but now because of interoperability and this ISO for interledger interoperability, they can use the same platform and send all that information over now. I hope that's a good explanation for you guys. I mean, they're going to have to scan it still to make it a digital document, but whatever software they use in the past to what the software they use now, it'll be compatible, as opposed to having to send all this information to the new place now, print it all out because it's not compatible with their system, and then fill it into their system itself. So then you're manually redoing all that information again. No more. No more. Okay. For specific purposes, most of the time, read only and for a limited time. For instance, in the case of medical records, look at that. Look at that. The doctors would require access to people's health records, but are not allowed to synchronize their ledgers with the records. My example. Look at that. The advantages of using PDLs instead of traditional database is that they eliminate the risk of single point of failure. And bidirectional now. In bidirectional interoperability, both the PDLs can access each other's data and synchronize their ledgers with the record. For example, if two hospitals trusts are running their ledgers and patients move from one trust to a different trust, medical records between two PDLs will require to be synchronized. Because bidirectional interoperability is a two-way process, one and two, like a bisexuality. Okay. Several conditions such as interoperability between different ledgers in terms of latency and technology. The currently available technology is still in its infancy and requires improvement to enable successful bidirectional interoperability. And you see, I've shown you that they had integrated with Europe already, Interledger. I have shown this. I have shown you the light. I have shown you. Okay. So here, we are looking at, we're going back. This is 5.3. Another, wow, this is trippy. Another Etsy document here. Etsy GRPDL 21. This is 2023. So I'm bringing you guys up to the present now, right to the present. This is from 10. This is from October 2023. All right. So that's what the past is about. To know where you're going, you're going to see the past and understand what happened back then, to know what we're doing now, to have an idea and forecast what we're doing in the future, all right? So I don't want to hear, oh, that's old, that's old. Get off my page if it's old. I'm in our business. Okay. That's the patois the Jamaican coming out of me. Decentralized identity management. At present, the user identity and its verifiable credentials, the VCs, in the telecom network are generated by operators, for example, a subscriber identity module or a SIM card. Users do not have the ability and authority to self-generate, self-maintain their own IDs. PDLs provide the possibility for PDL provides the possibility for independent generation of user identities. Autonomous management, users can selectively generate IDs and VC verified by authoritative institutions on the decentralized ledger, and selectively disclose the information required by the verifier to achieve decentralized identity management and verification. Decentralized ID management can enable new trustworthy, user-centric networking functions and services in future wireless networks. So now, brought us to the present, and we're looking that way into the future. For example, user-centric relaying services among mobile devices via direct communication link. User-centric network access and roaming management that can still properly function even if the home network becomes unreachable. Sort of like, you know what it reminds me of actually? It reminds me of Starlink and their satellites. So it takes away the roaming, because I would have my, essentially like Starlink, because right now I would have my internet service, hypothetically I have Rogers, and that's whatever Rogers towers are in my region. I cross border, and I'm in the US now, or Australia. There's no Rogers towers over there. There's other towers. So, but the roaming would now pick up at that point, because I'm not under my home jurisdiction of Rogers. I'm on a different company, so I'm roaming now. So, by providing credential sharing, authorization, and access authentication through blockchain, PDL can realize the secure sharing of operators' credentials and realize seamless and ubiquitous access for users. There's that word again. Infrastructure assets. We've already spoken about infrastructure assets. You've heard the gentleman in the very, very, very beginning. I'm going to show you who he is again. This gentleman here, talking about they are updating and upgrading the plumbing infrastructure assets. That's an infrastructure asset, okay? Don't get it twisted. We heard what that was from Evan Schwartz, and from before that we heard Wellington Scully talking about ILP as the infrastructure. So, as an infrastructure, a telecom network owns powerful networking, compute, and storage resources to support service provisions with guarantees in QoS. No idea what QoS stands for. I didn't read the acronyms. And user experiences. In order to improve the resource utilization, especially when off the peak hour. Okay, fine. I guess mainly because I want to know what it is. What the hell QoS is. Let's just... Where is it? There, the quality of service. That's what that is, okay, you guys? You guys asked, so I had to give you guys that. Technically, I asked myself because I'm talking to myself here, but you get it. You get me. In order to improve the resource utilization, especially when off-peak hours, monetizing the resource of the infrastructure can benefit for both the operator side and temporary resource consumer side. However, realizing such a dynamical, that's a stupid word, okay. Such a dynamical sharing is very difficult in both the business part, for example, making transactions, contract terms, payment, and so on, and the technical part, for example, configuring the underlying resource and opening interface for other tenants. Ooh, so the tenants on there. That makes sense. I like that. It is infrastructure. An existing example is like a cloud resources provider offering its compute storage and networking resource with a predefined offer, as well as relying on a third-party payment system. With PDL, all the tasks can be integrated into a smart contract. The transaction will be automatically done, and meanwhile the resource will be guaranteed for the buyer. So now you're renting space in that. A popular example is enabling network slicing among multiple operators. The creator of network slicing may require trust between operators within operator networks. Man, this is like a tongue twister. Jesus. And PDL can provide technical means to maintain trust with cross-operator or operator internal network slice management, and provide a platform for slice resource release and transactions. Why are they dynamic and trusted? I'm surprised I didn't say dynamical. And trusted creation of slices is completed through the release and on-chain of resource allocations information, network status information, RAN, resource configuration information, and slice construction information. Oh, wow. If you guys made it this far, I'm grateful for you, because I am... Jeez, I don't know. Anyways, we made it to digital assets. If you stuck with me and got this far, kudos to you. It's 50 minutes already. It's 50 minutes, and yeah, that might change because I'm going to cut some pieces out. Anyways, in the future, a telecom network owns not only infrastructure assets and radio spectrum resources, but also various digital assets. Digital assets include software, operator-owned data, and non-fungible tokens, NFTs. First, the software contains traditional licenses, added value application services for business or normal users, and a software execution platform for a third-party application service. PDL service can facilitate sharing processing between an operator and a potential user for purchasing purposes and or access control purposes. Second, owned data refers to the data that are generated in the telecom network domain, and the ownership of the generated data belongs to the operator. So here the operator owned the data, and user-owned data are different. So now they've divided it. Before it was all in one. It was the operator's infrastructure plus the user data in there. Now it's owners, operators, own data, and then there's the user's own data. Now they've added a partition to that. The user-owned data have privacy concern because the data is usually associated with user profiles as well. The examples of operator-owned data can be sensing data from RAN, or even utilizing the sensors on UEs that with permissions from the user, and it can be data that are generated during the telecom network is in operation. Okay, I gotta change this. I'm having a hard time with this. I don't know. I think I'm just about done that. I am. Okay, I'm done that. It goes into... Third, NFTs can include all kinds of tokens and credentials. Sharing and distributing, such as virtual substances, was very difficult because digital virtual copies can be easily faked based on PDL. It is possible to transfer them directly between two parties without involving a trusted third party as a mediator. So they're going from one platform to the next platform, and then the Internet of Value underneath that, moving that value. So we're back on Etsy again still, and now we're trying to understand the principles and practices. This is what ICT is. Okay, so this is the preface to this document here. With the support of the European Commission, Etsy has run a project to develop teaching materials to facilitate education on ICT, information and communication technology, standardization. The European Commission, all right, with the support of the EU Commission. I can't stress that enough. And to raise the knowledge level of the ICT standardization related topics among lecturers and students, in particular in the field of engineering, business admin, and law in higher education. For this purpose, Etsy recruited a group of experts from different sectors, including standards organizations, academia, and consulting companies. All the experts have been actively involved in current standardization product and or research within the area of ICT. To advance education about ICT standards, the attractiveness of the topic among lecturers and students should be improved. Comprehensive and up-to-date teaching materials constitute a major way to convey the value and raise awareness of standards. There are standards, all right? It's not just you're going to create a blockchain and the blockchain is going to do it at once. So they're here. Europe is working on standards, which means anything that's outside of its realm of standards will not exist, right? Picture yourself making your own fake money, all right? You're not going to go into your basement, put your dollar bills on your scanner, scan it, print it off, or photocopy it, and expect to use that at a store with zero ramifications, all right? If you can see where I'm talking about, I hope, thumbs up and kudos to you. But people out there pushing on this whole Bitcoin narrative, this, we're going to be free, screw the system, we're going to be free. You're not going to be free that way. Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer thing. So it's going to eliminate the middleman, or eliminate the central bankers and the commercial banks and the bank altogether. So Bitcoin is going to impose a threat to central banks. I don't know about you, but from what I've learned, the saying is don't fight the Fed. You're going to lose. You're going to lose. If you're looking at charts and you're planning where you want to go based off what, because you're waiting for charts to move to where you want it to move, not going to happen. You have to plan and look and backtest to where you believe, and create a plan and a strategy to where you believe the charts and candlesticks will move to, hopefully move to. And then you can operate off of that once it hits your potential targets and triggers. But it doesn't always work that way, because if it did, we'd all be rich at this point. We'd all be millionaires. Right now. If it moved where we want it to move, we'd all be millionaires right now. The project started by identifying best practices in education about standardization of ICT, the learning objectives, the most appropriate teaching methods and tools. For this reason, the group of experts who co-authored this textbook carried out an intensive desktop research and more than 25 interviews with leading international experts in standards education. The analysis of the information generated led to the design of the textbook structure and the accompanying learning material, including slides, visualizations, quizzes, and case studies. So you see what we're reading here, guys? This is a legit comprehensive document here. This document right here is a key piece of material. Key piece of material. It's a small document. It's only 276 pages. And we are going to go through all of it tonight. I'm just playing. I got you guys. I'm just playing. We're moving on. I'll do that on my own time. You guys are crazy. Did you honestly think I was going to do that? Man, we'd be here forever. All right. Blockchain and distributed ledger technologies. So, blockchain has great potential. This is still in the EU. In providing an infrastructure for trusted, decentralized, and disintermediated services beyond the financial sector. While the fintech industry has been an early adopter because of its early use of Bitcoin, blockchain is benefiting and has the potential to transform many. That is so needs a space. If you guys are looking here, this needs a space here. Whoever join up. Transform many other industries. It is considered a foundational technology. So then they said blockchain is a foundational technology that some compared to the rise of the internet in the early 90s. And we were talking about the internet protocols already, HTTPS, TCP/IP, and SSP, and the other one, which is out of my head. FTP, maybe? Would have been FTP. More than a technology, it could lead to a major institutional innovation by redefining the way we operate transactions, store and access information, and share data. By empowering patients to securely share e-health records, it's always about health, e-health records, and decide who to grant access to their data. So here we go. To bring together Horizon 2020 and blockchain standardization communities, the EU has set up set up a set of roundtable discussions, ICT verticals and horizontals for blockchain standardizations. These roundtables took place, took place during the second half of 2020 and the start of 2021 within the following theme groups: fintech, digital economy, SMEs, cybersecurity, Cybertruck, IoT, e-health, move, future internet, sustainable development goals, smart contracts, and artificial intelligence. Weren't we just looking at that? We were reading a bit about the smart contracts, and AI was the next thing there, and I was having tongue twitchers, and I couldn't cut them. So this is another Etsy document, but this one is special. It's from 2020, and I haven't found the next document yet for this one. But what it is here, I've seen how IEEE Standards Association can implement XRP in terms of their experiments. But here, the W3C, we know that Interledger was given to the W3C to be a standard internet protocol. We have Hyperledger here, and I want to learn how they're using Hyperledger. There's SEPA, common denominator with Standards Essential Patent Landscape, SEPA in the EU. All right. And is this the last one? I think so. This is it. This is another. Oh no. This is just talking about the permissioned distributed ledgers. So this goes into the PDLs and what the PDLs are, how they will be operated, and all the fun good stuff. We had learned a bit about, I can't say we've learned about PDLs, but you've heard how the PDLs will connect to the Interledger protocol at that point, which is in its early stage still. It's been stated here in 2023, going into 2025, 2024, 2025. At that point, we'll now be in the teenage years. They said we are approaching midway through the plan. So that to me signifies 2025. I believe in 2024 is going to be an interesting, very interesting year. I hope you guys have your strategies and have strategies. If not, please go check out the video I posted on exit strategies. And if you're looking to learn how to trade, follow my mentor, Cypress Domenechor. His group is CypherX. Solid group of people, solid mentor. My man knows his stuff. Through his course and through other sources as well, I've been able to pick up and have now the ability to read the charts. I'm not fluent, but I can now create plans based off the chart and now implement strategies to where I can make money. And I'm not necessarily profitable yet. I'm getting there, but I can now look at the charts and they make English sense to me. More like I'm learning a new language, French. I used to know French when I was younger, but not a lot, not full. But learning a new language and you're just starting to pick up the words and you're like, oh, okay, let me go over to France, not Quebec. You don't want to go to Quebec. They have that terrible French. Go to France and you can now speak with them and you will learn really, really, really quickly. And that will get you to where you need to go. So I hope you guys found value in this show. This show was a longer one, but guaranteed you've not heard anything like this yet. Love you guys. See you on the next one.
We're living it up, palm trees with sea breeze.